Hundreds of Colorado families impacted by mishandlings at a funeral home. Now a new center for mental health support is becoming available.
Fall is all over your yard. Should you rake it or not? We're hearing both takes on your leaves.
Hi everybody, I'm Scotty Gaines here at Niagara Falls in Buffalo before the Broncos take on the Bills for Monday Night Football. This is beautiful, but there are a few falls that the Broncos need to avoid in order to win tonight. That's next on 9 News.
Good afternoon. It has been more than 2.5 years since a gunman murdered 10 people at a King Soopers in Boulder. Their loved ones are still waiting to see the suspect face the jury. Another step on that journey is expected tomorrow when the accused shooter is scheduled to be in court.
Ahmad Elisa facing 115 separate charges, including those 10 counts of first-degree murder, 47 counts of attempted murder as well. Our investigative reporter Kevin Vaughn's with us now. And Kevin, of course, this day has been a long time coming.
Tom, it really has. It was back in September 2021 that the suspect's attorneys questioned whether he was competent to stand trial. After multiple evaluations and forced medication, a judge ruled last month that he is. On a Monday afternoon in March 2021, a man opened fire inside and outside this grocery store along Table Mesa Drive. By the time he was captured, a Boulder police officer and 9 others lay dead. Now, Judge Ingrid Bakke is set to preside at the suspect's preliminary hearing, a final step before the case can go to trial.
The majority of preliminary hearings consist of one witness, the lead detective, who basically lays out everything.
9 News legal analyst Scott Robinson says there may be more than one witness in this hearing, but it's all but certain the suspect will be ordered to stand trial.
In a case like this, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that there's probable cause that the defendant was in fact guilty of at least the vast majority of the counts.
For more than 2 years, the question was whether the suspect was competent. In other words, whether he could understand the proceedings and assist in his defense. Now, Robinson says a different question is likely to emerge.
I anticipate that the defense will do everything they can to start the process of an insanity plea. So they're going to try and elicit from all prosecution witnesses any information they can get that relates to the altered mental state of their client at the time of the incident.
If a jury concludes he was insane on that Monday 2.5 years ago, he would avoid prison, but could spend the rest of his life in a mental hospital. For the families and friends of the victims, there's still the very real fear that the suspect's competency could again be at issue if he's not forced to continue taking his medications. He said repeatedly he would stop taking them if he could. Kim?
That is the key when you talk about this, Kevin, and we're coming up on 3 years in March. When we think about this, and mental competency is something that I don't think that's something that victims' families are ever able to really accept.
That's right, and he has to be competent for this to go forward to a trial, to a jury.
Okay, tomorrow, hearing tomorrow. Thank you, Kevin. And we will be following this case as it moves through the court system. You can stay up to date by downloading our 9 News app. It's free in the Apple and Google Play stores.
Taking a live look outside, pretty hazy, or maybe that's being kicked up by the wind. A warm day again, but windy conditions have elevated fire risk across the states.
And November is really dry right now and warm, and that's not what it's supposed to be, Kathy.
No, it's weird, right?
Yeah.
I know. This is like a month we tend to talk about big storms and blizzards and 7.5 inches of snow. So doesn't it kind of make you go, when's the other shoe going to fall?
Yeah, it does, every day.
Right, and of course, and it might fall next week. It's going to be a busy Thanksgiving holiday week, a travel week, and that's when the pattern's going to change. So we're kind of battening down the hatches in the weather office and really studying the modeling for you to give you a really good idea of the changes for next week. This week, more of this. We've got sunshine, mid-60s out there, and Tom, you're exactly right. We've had extremely gusty conditions out there. Winds have kicked up out of the south, moving that dust around and those particulates, so certainly hazy and windy. I think for some areas the winds are starting to ease just a little bit. No issues over the higher passes this hour. 62 currently in Denver, 59 in Lyman, 62 in Fort Collins, and 59 in Grand Junction. When you look at these current readings, consider the average high this time of year is actually about 54. The winds have really eased up in Centennial, Aurora, and Parker. Now the worst of the wind is east of us around Fort Morgan, Sterling, and Akron, but that's also where the elevated fire danger risk is, with red red flag warnings that continue this hour for gusts to 40, relative humidity numbers down to 13%. And we're not seeing a lot of moisture, but off to the west, we are tracking a storm. It's still offshore from California, sitting out here, but eventually that low will be on the move. Southerly winds are bringing in some cloud cover tonight and tomorrow, and we go mostly sunny. Not a lot of moisture over the next 72 hours, but things start to change on Thursday. Some of the models suggest that maybe the mountains will get a little bit of snow as early as Thursday into Friday morning. Denver stays dry, but in the high country, some beneficial snow I think would be very welcome for resorts that are just trying to get going and get open. So mid-60s this hour, we drop into the 50s during the dinner hour, and coming up in Maine weather, we're going to talk about fire danger and the chance for weekend showers in the form of rain and snow.
Thanks, Kathy. And later tonight, Denver City Council will consider whether to extend its homelessness emergency declaration. It would speed up the city's response to the situation. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston has a goal to get 1,000 people off the streets by the end of the year. So far, the city says 224 people are in shelter. Less than a quarter of the mayor's goals. The emergency declaration activates the Emergency Ops Center and allows for faster permitting for affordable housing. Johnston's team wants to set up micro-community shelters in each council district, though in the last few weeks, they have canceled 3 of the planned locations.